The inflation chart of the century, according to Bloomberg. Right here, price changes January 2000, June 2021. Mark Perry over here from this on the AEI website. AEI, part of the cabal that is, that's for sure. But at least they're pretty good on economics, unlike the leftist cabal. Anyway, so I'm a fan of AEI. My man Andrew Biggs writes for AEI. A lot of good folks I follow. But anyway, so we'll go down here, and Bloomberg says, chart of century gives Powell gloomy glimpse of trade war world. Because remember, there's no trade war until Trump came along. First posted, let's see, Market Watch first posted this on Twitter and called it stunning, one of the most important charts about the economy this century. All right, well, here's, I get no qualm this. But basically, you can see the overall cost of goods, all right, has gone by 60% overall inflation since 2000. Now, here's the issue. Let's see if you put my quote in my comments in here, because yeah, I did. All right, sweet. We'll talk about this here in just a second, because this says I find this to be stop worrying about inflation. There's no other way around that. Except you'll find a couple things. Here's housing. Housing has gone up by 68%. All right, since 2000. Housing. 60. Oh, it does have food and beverages in there. All right, cool. All right, hold on a second. I got to delete one of my comments. All right, so you can see hospital service are going through the roof. College tuition and college textbooks and Medicare services. Isn't that interesting? Medical services. So by far and away, the biggest inflationary things in this century, 21st century, hospital and college. Now this right here, look at college textbooks, that's going to be going down rapidly. Now I don't know why you'd use college textbooks as I mean it's huge, or grant you, but there's no, that's going to change rapidly. College tuition is going to start leveling off and going down too, because there's not enough kids to go to college anymore. There just isn't. More and more children will not do that. There's just not enough kids to go to college relative to the number of schools that have been built, the number of professors that are out there, never mind the diversity, administration people. Oh, for the love of the good Lord. Hospital services, though, and medical care services should certainly keep to go up. Why? Because more older people are going into the older baby boomers are going into there. Frankly, even more young people are going there as well because of the COVID crap. So this will keep going up. These will level off. This one's already leveled off. Hourly wages, who knows? Housing is probably going to take a little bit of a spike, but look at that. Housing hasn't gone up that much. I mean, 68% since 2021. I mean, my goodness, hold on a second. 2.5% increase year over year. So just not that big of a deal. It's just not. Hourly wages have gone up more than that for sure. Now, again, I'm telling you got to be careful here, because hourly wages, some people are making bank, some people aren't. We know that for a fact. That's just a fact. But at the end of the day, the national economy, the hourly wages have risen by the rate of overall inflation and by the rate of the increases in housing. It's just a fact, man. I see all kinds of people like, see this house? I could pay for that on a middle class salary back then. I can't now. It's just wrong, man. Yes, you could, because don't forget the houses built in the 1970s and 80s are smaller than the houses built today. It's just a fact. All right, so you can see new cars. We have a temporary jump here. You can see that temporary jump right there. Household furnishings, clothing, all these are, textiles they've gone down with inflation. Computer stuff, toys, TVs, all that stuff has gone down. Anyway, the point, computer software, computers, all that stuff has gone down, way, way down. Communication has gone way down, which is fantastic. So if you don't need housing services or college stuff, none of this matters to you, man. Or hospital services or college stuff. You just need food, housing. I mean, maybe some childcare and nursery. Just inflation is just not that big of a deal, man. And so these will drop off. I think the housing will probably go up a little bit more, certainly, because of demand for housing in certain areas. And on top of that, the regulations they're putting on. But food will probably go up. The issue that these guys are trying to make, like right here, the Bloomberg thing, a trade war, because we're having cheap goods from China. This is why this stuff is going down so much. Once that stops because of trade wars or whatever, our inflation will go up. Well, that's probably true, 100%. But you can't sit there and gripe all day long about the Chinese and Indians and all that while you're freaking using their cheap phones. You can't. I mean, when I say cheap, cheaply built, doesn't mean they're cheap products. Can't do that. You got to have it both ways. In fact, I was reading an article or watching a video by Tyler Cohen and Alex, I forgot his last name, the Marginal Revolution University, Basically talk about how everything that you think is built in America has origins all over the world. It's actually quite interesting, like the old iPencil from Leonard Reed survey or essay. All right. But anyway, as I probably, let's see, of all the graphics, I don't think has gotten more attention than the chart of the century. Here are some examples. We talked about that already. A multicolored graphic that made the rounds at the Federal Reserve hints at what Chairman Jerome Powell could face if Donald Trump succeeds in throwing globalization into reverse. Because, again, there was no trade war. China wasn't engaged until Trump came along. Freaking stupid. CBS Money Watch, inflation risk, trade war. Again, trade war. They're all trying to bang the trade war thing. Clemson University economist says rising prices, global competition, the chart of the century. Based on today's BLS numbers, I've updated the chart with price changes through the end of last year. During the most recent 21.5-year period, the CPI for all items increased by 60%. Just not that huge of a wage increase. 7 of those items have increased by more than the average rate of inflation, which, again, hospital service, big time. College tuition. Notice the hospital service, medical services, college tuition all have a huge government heavy-handed on that for sure. And we talk about the other things going down. Various observations have been made about the huge divergence in price patterns. The greater the degree of government involvement, the provision of a good or service, the greater the price increases or decreases over time, 100%. Hospital medical costs, college tuition, childcare with both large degrees of government funding, Head Start and all that. Blue lines subject to free market forces, red lines prices subject to regular cash story by government. I'm not sure I've actually followed that. It's not that succinct. There are lots of government capture here, in terms of China, India, their trading mechanisms. We're just benefiting from a lower cost of goods here. So you can't say it's just free market. It might be free market to us, but certainly not necessarily free market to China when you got slave labor. I mean, how can you say it's free market, man? It's not. Let's see. Prices for manufactured goods have declined over time relative to overall inflation. The greater degree of international competition for tradable goods, the greater the decline in prices over time. The price shows that the greatest change for CPI educational books. Textbooks rose on average at 6% annually between January 2000 and December 2016, nearly three times the average. But starting in 2017, the CPI for educational books flattened for the first time ever and has now been trending downward. That's good. Now, this guy's an economist. I don't know if he's a professor, but at the end of the day, that's good, man. These professors, I mean, it's what a freaking capture. You got to force your students to buy your stupid textbook at $150. Crazy. The flattening of the CPI for educational books over the last 5.5 years is truly unprecedented and remarkable. We can expect future declines as well because the University of Minnesota's Center for Open Education maintains an open text library. I think it's fantastic. The annual increase in college tuition fees of only 0.78% in 2020 was the smallest annual increase in the history of CPI. So perhaps the higher education bubble is finally starting to show signs of deflating. Let's hope so. The recent increases in new car prices and clothing prices and prices for household furnishing have set multi-decade highs, although partly because the unusual low price indexes from goods a year ago. Exactly. Anyway. Good stuff. So I thought you guys would like that. There's just this idea that hyperinflation here is just there's no evidence to support that. We got short-term, small-time, transitory inflation. Other than that, it's just not there. All right. Love to hear comments. We'll see you